The vast majority of males are low-value guys in our world. They aren't necessarily awful. They just lack genuine aspirations for improvement. Men should learn to respect themselves. And if you believe that your time here is being squandered, it might be time to rethink your direction. Many people don't fully comprehend how they ended up in difficult circumstances. They don't know how they got there, they just wake up one day feeling like failures. The fact is that some attitudes and behaviors people pick up over time. If you are willing to put in the work, you can change these behaviors. You should be aware that sustaining bad behavior patterns or doing nothing about them is one of the quickest ways to lose value. When you believe a mistake has been committed, the way a guy responds to difficulty reveals a lot about his character. Either you can learn from your errors and attempt to avoid repeating them in the future. Low-value guys typically don't progress since they're happy with merely scraping by. They go with the flow rather than take charge of their life. These folks will regrettably constantly be taken advantage of because they permit it. So let's examine the characteristics that define a low-value male. He lacks motivation or is indolent. The most characteristic quality of a low-value man is likely laziness. Most often, lazy guys don't make an effort to advance their financial, intellectual, or physical well-being. The most lazy men whine about having to do things rather than doing what has to be done. They are unable to take any actions that would be to their advantage because of a lack of drive. A little value. The majority of a man's time is often spent on social networking, playing video games, or watching TV. They would rather do something that gives them momentary pleasure than strive to make their circumstances better. Additionally, they lack the drive to pursue their goals in life. It's more safer to lead a routine existence and never take chances than to follow your goals. Having fun is perfectly acceptable as long as you're also making the required efforts to get better. He doesn't have goals or plans for the future. Low-value guys don't make long-term plans for their life. They let life happen to them and live day by day. They do not spend the time to reflect about where they want to be in 5 or 10 years. They are unsuccessful at making objectives for themselves as well since they never intend to achieve them. Like a ship without a compass, a guy without any long-term plans is like that. Without any guiding ideas, he is unsure of where he should go and will thus resort to other influences to help him make judgments. This is why low-value guys are unable to support themselves and find fulfillment in life. His emotional IQ is underwhelming. A low-value man frequently lacks emotional awareness. He lacks empathy for those around him and attempts to control his feelings in order to seem more macho. Men with poor emotional intelligence frequently struggle in their romantic relationships. They lack social skills, and when someone talks negatively about them, they get too defensive. Everyone, especially men, is affected by emotions. As a result, you should understand how to correctly handle yours. Low-value men lack the ability to communicate with others and express themselves, which gives them the appearance of being uncaring and cold. Because they lack the skills to address them, they bottle up their issues until they become too much for them to bear. He is obedient. One of the most prevalent features of low-value males is submissiveness. They allow others to make decisions for them and blindly obey all commands. With time, problems with despair, anxiety, addiction, and other mental diseases can result from this detrimental behavior. People who don't respect themselves frequently feel like victims and begin blaming others for their issues. They exhibit a lack of confidence because they let other people run their life and make decisions for them. A man with poor self-worth prefers to win over people so they feel like they are a part of something. Even when they are asked to do something that is wrong or harmful, they won't say no since it will make them appear terrible in front of other people. They lack the self-assurance and bravery to speak up in public. They would prefer remain silent and take everyone's lead till someone gave them instructions rather than speaking out. He has a large ego yet a low sense of worth. Low worth. Men often have an overblown sense of self-importance, but they also struggle with poor self-esteem and lack the self-assurance to back it up. They attempt to make up for their inadequacies by accumulating material possessions since it makes them feel valuable and successful. A guy with an overinflated ego believes he is superior to others and is unable to handle criticism of any type. He thinks that he already has all the knowledge there is to know about life, thus he makes no effort to better himself. Success is viewed as a danger by those who lack it. Because they fear it would make them appear weak in front of other people, they find it difficult to become friends with such individuals. They fail to recognize that this is only a mirror of their own uncertainties and doubts. He is a womanizer or a player. A low-value man has a conquering mindset and views women as prey. Since dating the same lady again would indicate that he was truly in love with her, he would rarely do so since low-value men are incapable of loving anybody but themselves. Instead of concentrating on his own personal objectives, he wastes his time wooing other women. This kind of thinking is associated with poor self-worth and a need for approval. He can't tolerate rejection from other people, so he starts blaming others for his issues. He views women as throwaway things rather than actual people deserving of love and respect and believes that they merely use him for sex. He is not a strong man. A man who doesn't appreciate himself as a man lacks self-assurance and respect. To be liked by others, he would go out of his way to satisfy them. Because he can't rely on himself, a low-value man will continually go to others for approval. To keep them around, he would continuously seek out their approval and comply with their requests. Even if it means going against his own views and ideals, he attempts to win over everyone. A weak masculine identity prevents a guy from confronting someone because he is worried about how others would see him. He always comes across as a doormat and a pushover in the end. This kind of man is also far too passive. He would never speak out for himself or defend his rights. He always tries to avoid offending others and will go to great lengths to avoid a conflict. He also doesn't respect himself. He would therefore blend in with the others merely to avoid having to stand out. A low-value man lacks self-worth because he doesn't appreciate his originality and distinctiveness, which makes him highly uneasy about who he is as a person. He feels deserving. A man with low self-esteem believes he is entitled to everything and should be treated better than others. Because all of his thoughts are about himself and what others could do for him, he is self-centered and selfish. He lives in a narcissistic universe where he is the center of attention and everyone else is merely a supporting cast member in his life's drama. He would go over and above to achieve his goals, even if it meant going against morality or upsetting other people. Because he doesn't get how taking responsibility for another person's feelings may make him appear to be a better guy, he just cares about himself. This kind of man doesn't feel the need to take responsibility for his actions and is solely interested in his own interests.